Welcome aboard the Boat Buyers Secret Weapon podcast, where we're dedicated to helping first-time and experienced boat buyers find the right boat at the best price so they have years and years of boating fun, because life truly is better on a boat. Today's podcast is sponsored by the Boat Buyers Secret Weapon YouTube channel. Don't pay too much for your next boat. Just visit boatbuyerssecretweapon.com/save to watch a short video. Now, let's hop aboard and have some fun.
Hey, it's Captain Matt, Boat Buyer's Secret Weapon, and today we're going to talk about the useful life of a boat engine. And we're going to focus on pleasure boaters because it's a little bit different with commercial boats and some numbers that you may have heard, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. So we're going to go through the outboard, inboard, outboard, or stern drives, inboards, jet drives, and diesel. So the useful life for an outboard is about 1,000 to 1,500 hours. Now, there's some caveats to that we're going to talk about at the end of this. So for an outboard, an inboard outboard, a stern drive, or an IO, whatever you want to call it, they're all synonymous. In an inboard, they're all about 1,000 to 1,500. For a jet drive, it's about 1,000. That's a lot of hours on a jet drive engine. And we've got a video about each of these, the pros and cons of the styles that you can check out to know why it's a little bit different. And diesel is 5,000 to 10,000, even 20,000 hours, depending on various factors. So why is it that you'll see a Yamaha that's got 3,000 hours on it or 4,000 hours on it? Well, the answer is those are going to be commercial vessels. Those vessels and those engines, most importantly, are run on a consistent basis. So they might get 50 hours a week on those engines. And so every month they're getting a service interval. They're getting an oil change. They're getting an impeller change. They're getting their gear lube change. And they're being inspected by a good quality marine mechanic. The other thing is engines like to be run. Mechanical things like to be run. It gets the oil lubrication through. It keeps corrosion down. It keeps rust down. But when you're in the pleasure boating environment, what happens? Well, you run your boat for 4th of July weekend, for Memorial Day, for Labor Day, a handful of weekends in between, but your boat does a lot more sitting than it does running. The maintenance interval, instead of being every month where you get your oil change and your gear lube, it's every 2 years. Still only 100 hours, but it's getting done more frequently. That means that the commercial engine application, they're going to get more hours out of them because of the more consistent use, the more maintenance. So don't get thrown by that. But what are some impacts? 1,000 to 1,500 hours, well, that's a third of the time that it could be, well, shoot, maybe I'm buying myself a big problem if I buy a boat that's at 1,000 hours or close to it. Here's some factors that will impact it. Consistency of the usage. Like I said, the commercial, because they're used so often and maintained so frequently, they get a lot more use. So if that boat has been used consistently, that's great. A low-hour boat that sat for 3 years but only has 50 hours on it, I would rather have a boat that's the same year and been run 50 hours a year for 5 years and now has 250 hours on it, if that makes sense. The next is the consistency and the quality of the maintenance that was done on that engine. That maintenance is critical. Did they just change the oil in the filter? Did they change out their fuel water separators and their fuel filters? What kind of gas did they put in? Did they change their gear lube? How often did they change their impellers? What did they do to that engine, and how frequently and how consistently did they do that? That's where maintenance records, some service history, and having a conversation and inspecting that, like we talk about in the Boat Buyers Toolkit that you can get for free at boatbuyerstoolkit.com, come into play. Next, is it a saltwater boat or a freshwater boat? Saltwater is so much harsher on an engine, that's going to shorten the lifespan of it, especially if it wasn't taken care of as consistently and as high quality. And if it sat more, that salt's going to cause corrosion and things to start happening to that engine quicker the more it sits. The next is the load factor. So the load factor is how hard was that engine worked? Was it pushing a 10,000 pound cruiser or and at wide open throttle, or was it pushing a 3,000 pound pontoon at 4,500 RPM most of its life? So the RPM ranges and how it was ran overall and the weight that it was pushing, all of those come in together to have an impact. So the heavier the load it's pushing, the more time it's spent at wide open throttle and in that like top 90% band of the RPM range. Well, that's going to shorten the lifespan of that engine because engines aren't designed to run at max RPM for extended period of time. So hopefully that gives you a little bit better idea if you're looking at a used boat, what the hours should be. The average hours on a boat, 50 hours or so if you're an inland freshwater boater, 200 hours if you're a wake surfer, if it's a wake style boat, or if you're at the coast, or if you're a serious fisherman where that boat's going to get run more out to the honey hole offshore, or you're surfing the whole day and you're surfing for 8 hours a day. So that should give you a little idea of that. Like I said, pick up this toolkit. It's totally free. Boatbuyerstoolkit.com, 25 pages just packed with questions to ask, how to demo a boat, everything that you need to know to make sure that you buy a new or used boat, you buy the right one. Thanks a lot. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. I'd appreciate it, and we'll see you in the next one.
Let's pull up the anchor and run this podcast back to the docks. We'll be back again with another helpful and fun episode next time. If you'd like to be a guest on the podcast, visit boatbuyerssecretweapon.com/guest, and I'll help offer insights into your boat research and shopping experience. Also, we'd appreciate it if you took just 2 minutes to rate and review this podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. It helps others find us so we can help more boaters. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it in your boating groups on social media. They will certainly thank you. And by the way, if you haven't already, grab your free Boat Buyers Secret Weapon Toolkit at boatbuyerssecretweapon.com/toolkit. And so you don't pay too much for your next boat, visit boatbuyerssecretweapon.com/save for a short video. Now, before we go, I want to leave you with a few first-time boating tips for when you own your new boat. Number one, know your local boating laws, basic navigation rules, and how to operate your boat safely. It'll make boating even more fun for everyone. 2, be aware of your wake at all times and pay attention to no wake zones because you are responsible for your wake. When maneuvering at slow speeds, you can put out an enormous wake. If going slow, be courteous, save some fuel, and drop down to idle speed, just in forward gear to ensure there is no wake. This could save you an expensive ticket and will keep you from being that guy on your waterway. Number 3, boats do not have headlights. They have docking lights, specifically made for seeing in tight quarters and docking. Do not turn your docking lights on while cruising down the water. It can blind other boaters and is very dangerous and, again, could save you an expensive ticket. Number 4, follow the maintenance schedule for your boat. Change the oil, impeller, gear lube, winterize if you need to winterize in your area. Inspect your trailer tires, bearings, and grease the hubs if you're a trailer boater to ensure you don't experience expensive and unnecessary repairs that will impact your boating time. Number 5, always double check your plug is in, your battery is charged, and the fuel is full before heading out for a day on the water. It could just save your boating day. And if you're a trailer boater, I've got a few extra tips. Number 1, at the boat ramp, prepare your boat, your gear, and your guests in the staging area. Then, when you're ready, back down the ramp, unload the boat, head to the parking lot, and right back down to your boat to be fast and courteous to your fellow boaters and don't tie up that ramp unnecessarily. Next, use transom tie-down straps when trailing your boat. Very bad things can happen if you don't, and they do happen. 3, check everything in the boat is secure before heading down the road. Seat cushions, gear, keys, towels, even tubes and lily pads can get blown out when pulling your boat down the highway or interstate. And most important, have fun. Enjoy your boat and get on the water as much as possible because life truly is better on a boat. Until next time, this is your friend in boating, Captain Matt.